You're listening to Nereid Atlas, the podcast where international news gets unpacked a little more carefully. I'm Lukas. This week, Saudi officials said they intercepted several drones that entered from Iraq, blaming Iran-backed Iraqi militias. Around the same time, Yemen's Houthi movement announced its own attacks, claiming hits on Saudi targets. The result is a very basic question: who launched what and from where, with very different implications. If those drones did come from Iraq, it's not just another Yemen front incident. It widens the map and touches Saudi-Iraq ties and Iran. In a region this tightly wound, a misread or a mislabeled strike can move the chessboard fast, so the official language has been careful. For this one, we pulled 14 articles from 10 outlets across 9 countries: state-aligned TV, a European wire service, and independent papers, published between July 21st and 28th. And the closer you line them up, the trickier the story becomes. Elena's been digging into that. Elena? Nereid Atlas. Synthetic voices, real analysis.
Three sets of drones, 2 claimants, 1 kingdom insisting they came from Iraq. And a single word keeps changing who's responsible.
Which word?
Iranian. Some coverage called them Iranian drones. Saudi officials said they were launched by militias in Iraq backed by Iran. That's not a small edit. It moves you from proxies to Tehran itself.
So a headline upgrades a militia strike into an act of war.
It certainly accelerates the imagination. Meanwhile, Yemen's Houthis claim separate drone hits on Saudi oil infrastructure the same day. 2 different vectors, 1 target set.
That's messy by design. How is the press handling the split, Iraq versus Yemen?
France 24 put the 2 strands side by side. Drones from Iraq intercepted, Houthi strikes claimed elsewhere. It reads like convergence. Separate groups, same pressure point.
Oil.
Oil and the capital. The Saudi statement mentioned both energy facilities and Riyadh.
And Iraq says, not us?
Baghdad opened a probe. Then a network calling itself the Islamic Resistance in Iraq issued a denial. That keeps plausible deniability intact, which is the currency here.
So we're in the gray zone. Why does the gray benefit everyone?
Because attribution decides escalation. The name tag you pin on a drone decides which door you knock down.
That's bleak, but yeah. Who's pinning which tags?
The New York Times frames it as Saudi Arabia being dragged deeper into a wider regional conflict. That keeps focus on the axis: Iran, proxies, spillover.
And the Gulf neighbors?
Kuwait rushed to condemn the strikes and, notably, echoed the Saudi line about launches from Iraqi territory. That's solidarity, but also signaling to Baghdad, rein in your militias.
Or we'll treat you as the address.
Exactly. On the other end, Politica highlighted that neither the US nor Iran reported attacks in the prior days. It implies a pause at the top, while the edges keep moving.
That's interesting. A lull between Washington and Tehran, but pressure on Riyadh continues. That's almost taunting.
Al Jazeera's read nods to that, suggesting Iran or linked groups may be testing the United States as it rethinks strategy. Not a barrage at Americans, but a nudge via Saudi Arabia's soft spot.
The oil heart. And then outlets like CBC, calling them Iranian drones, flatten the proxy layer.
It's the kind of shorthand that travels fast. But to Saudi diplomats, the distinction is the strategy. Blame Iran-backed without torching the new détente with Tehran by saying Iran did it.
You get deterrence without a treaty funeral.
Or you try. The balancing act is visible even in verbs. Intercepted, claimed, denied, investigating. Everyone's choosing words that buy time.
But time for what? For insurance markets to breathe? For back channels to call?
For someone to decide whether this stays a drone story or becomes a war story.
Walk me through the incentives. Why would Saudi Arabia emphasize Iraq-based groups if the Houthis are also saying, "We hit you"?
Because Iraq gives Riyadh two levers, Baghdad and Tehran. They can press the Iraqi government to police its territory and remind Iran that the proxy architecture puts its fingerprints close enough to matter. But by not naming Iran directly, they protect a recent thaw and oil prices.
That intercepted word keeps popping up too.
Yes, intercepted reassures markets and citizens. The system worked. Even if a Houthi drone hits somewhere, the official rhythm emphasizes defense competence over vulnerability.
Except the Houthis want the opposite headline. We can still touch your valves.
Right. Their claim centers on capability and pain points, oil facilities, shipping routes. In another ecosystem, RT's been amplifying Houthi talk of an embargo and boasting from Tehran about blinding US radars. It paints the US-Saudi security umbrella as thin.
A narrative of American weakness sells well in Moscow and Tehran. Credibility aside, it lands emotionally.
And it shapes risk perception. Investors, insurers, even regional publics start to absorb a story. Air defenses are overwhelmed, corridors are contested. Whether or not that's technically true every night, it's strategically useful to say it.
Meanwhile, Iraq's government says, "We're investigating." That's a diplomatic seatbelt.
And a domestic one. The Prime Minister can't look like he's parroting Riyadh. Opening a probe buys him cover from both Washington and militias at home.
So every actor is leaving fingerprints on the language, not the wreckage.
Exactly. And different outlets amplify different fingerprints. One outlet juxtaposes lull and escalation to suggest calibration rather than chaos. Another centers testing the US to pull Washington into the frame. A Gulf neighbor repeats from Iraqi territory to planned jurisdiction.
And the audience hears either Iran attacked Saudi Arabia or Saudi Arabia is being probed by a network of deniable affiliates. Those are very different mornings.
One morning invites a retaliatory doctrine. The other invites hotline management.
What do you think actually happened?
Multiple groups likely acted, and some were intercepted. The more important truth is that ambiguity wasn't a byproduct. It was the plan. It keeps punishment uncertain and escalation optional.
Optional until someone misreads the option menu.
Or until a headline outruns the facts. If Iranian drones becomes the accepted memory, the next cabinet meeting in Riyadh or Washington starts from a harder place.
And if no one ever assigns a clean name, victims don't get a clean answer.
That's the cost of gray zone stability. Accountability dissolves so that deterrence can be dialed. It works until it doesn't.
So today the sky is full of intercepted and denied. Tomorrow could be full of certainty.
And certainty is the one thing everyone here seems afraid to reach for.